I'm doing this channel where I'm learning things from students, and I got to listen to your presentation for the TomTom Fest, and I just, like, there were so many things in it that blew me away that I didn't know about. In fact, when we went back to judging, we're like, that can't be right, and we actually started looking up the SOL, and we're like, oh, it is. So why don't you quickly introduce yourselves, and then I'll ask you a few questions about your research.
Okay. I'm Elizabeth Neal. I'm a senior.
And I'm Sheridan Barry, and I'm a senior, and we both go to San Antonio Field.
And so what was what started this research, and how did you find out about what was going on? I guess explain what the research was.
So basically, for our citizenship senior seminar, we were tasked with creating a TomTom pitch for the TomTom Festival, and Sharon and I'll talk about why I was kind of interested in this and how it came together for the both of us. But I've been involved with the Step Up Club at STAB for all of my time in high school, and we basically work with the local sexual assault resource agency to kind of raise awareness about sexual assault. So it's something that I'm passionate about, and I feel like is not talked about enough. So
yeah, and so for me, Elizabeth and I are both peer mentors at STAB, which means that we talk to the freshman life skills class, and I don't know why, but we were always under the impression that all schools kind of had as fantastic of a health class curriculum as we did, and we learn about, for example, consent, education about technology, which is huge. And I'll stop at those because those were really our two main focuses and how they kind of overlap. But we started, we were curious about why there's such a high percentage of sexual assaults occurring in colleges, and how that might correlate to how well consent is being taught. And to our surprise, when we researched, Virginia's state-mandated health class curriculum, there is no requirement to talk about consent or sex in general or anything of that matter, and certainly nothing about technology or how the two overlap. So
yeah, so that's the thing we took, that we looked at the standards of learning and we're typing in sex and
right.
STD and consent and rape, and like none of those things are
nothing.
talked about. So what would you like to see? Like what are you hoping could be the change?
I think that for myself, I would like to see more talk about consent, because I think a lot of times, and we asked our friends that go to other schools and some of the local public schools about, if they learn about consent or healthy relationships and how to kind of have those conversations, and they don't talk about that in their health classes, which is initially what surprised us so much before we started researching. And I think for myself, I think that just people understanding that that's not taught is kind of the first step. And I think that we, from kindergarten to 10th grade, that's the mandated curriculum. They don't have any of those things, and I think that it's really important to see consent being taught, because it's something that can be so misunderstood but is so simple.
Exactly. And for me, I understand that, first and foremost, I would like for everything to become actually aware to the public, because oftentimes you'll be talking to this about people and they'll respond with, what? That's not being taught by schools. And I don't know if it's because you see so many things about it in the movies, some it becoming a joke of it being taught, but it really is just often not taught at all, or taught in a very, cut manner. And I understood that because it becomes a matter of, parents not wanting that to be taught by their schools, thinking it's a personal matter. But now, with our generation, that's not the case, because if parents don't want their, kids to be learning about things such as, sex, relationships, consent, they are inevitably, in our generation, going to be exposed to it because of the percentage that have access to phones, and all of those kids having access to social media. And you will see advertisements, you will see, just famous people that young kids look up to. You'll see, joking videos about songs. It's pretty much inevitable to be exposed to, education about what sex is and what the image of sex should look like. And because of that, and not a lot of young kids are also being taught, at age 11, for example, what their consequences is of being, posting things, etc. So I think that I would much rather, with our generation, it's not necessarily, it's not something that is going to be able to be hidden from kids anymore. So I think it should, I would just like to ask parents, would you rather your kids learn about this through their school in a, healthy manner or through social media? Because,
Right.
yeah.
I always say now that social media is the new sex talk.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
parents should be talking not just about sex, but about social media and the impact of that, because in your lives, it's not a separate reality, where in our generation it is. So I think that's one of the hard things for adults especially to understand that concept.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
This was so great.